Sorry, readers and writers. I was busy because I was reading this small moment story by the published author Angela Johnson, The Leaving Morning. You remember it. And I was just taking some notes on Post-its because as I read, I notice lots of things that the author does that I want to copy in my own work. Let me show you. So I took a couple notes on the first page. The text says, "The leaving happened on a soupy, misty morning when you could hear the street sweeper. Shh, shh." Oh my gosh, readers. I took some notes on what I loved about how Angela Johnson wrote this. One of my notes says, she describes the morning with words that make a movie in my brain. Soupy and misty. She doesn't just say the leaving happened on a morning. She describes the morning with these really powerful words that paint a picture in my brain. Soupy and misty. She also uses a sound that makes me feel like I'm there and I can hear the street sweeper. Then on the next page, it says, "We pressed our faces against the hall window and left cold lips on the pane." And I thought this was another example of how Angela Johnson used descriptive language. She doesn't just say "and left lips on the pane." She says cold lips, which again makes me feel like I'm there and like I can feel the temperature and be a part of this family story. So writers, after I read Like a Writer, thinking about Angela Johnson and what she did to make her writing really strong, I copied her. Now you might be thinking, what? You can't copy Mrs. Norton. But the type of copying that I'm talking about is actually exactly what we do as writers. We get inspired by reading the work of other authors, and then we try to copy what they do. We don't use the same words, right? Because you can't steal somebody else's exact words. But I can steal her ideas. So Angela Johnson used a lot of descriptive language. She painted pictures in my brain as a reader. She used sound, she used temperature, cold. She used words that made me feel like I was there. And I want to be able to do that for my readers. So now that I've read Like a Writer, I'm going to write like a reader. Let me show you how I used my notes to rewrite the beginning of my story. So when I first wrote the beginning of my story, or after one of my revisions, I wrote, "Oh," I exclaimed, "I am so tired. We have been hiking all day. Can we stop and get something to eat?" But after I read The Leaving Morning, and I was inspired by Angela Johnson, and I read Like a Writer and noticed what she did, describing the morning and using sound and describing the lips on the window pane, I changed my work to add more descriptive language, just like her. And this is what I wrote. "Oh," I exclaimed, "I am so tired." My eyes had dark circles under them, and sweat slid down my forehead. "We have been hiking all day. Can we stop and get something to eat?" "Sure," said Matt. So we set out to find the perfect restaurant. We saw a run-down Italian restaurant and a grill with a line out the door. After looking for 20 minutes, we spotted a tall wooden building, blah, blah, blah. So you can see, readers, this is so much more engaging for my readers. It really pulls them in and helps them feel like they are there with me. They can see it, they can hear it, they can experience it. So I added dark circles under my eyes, sweat sliding down my forehead. I described the run-down Italian restaurant and the line out the door. These things that you can picture in your brain. So today, writers, as you go back to your new small moment story, you've brainstormed, you've planned, you might have even started drafting already, or maybe you're just starting to draft. Take a minute to think about the authors that you know. You might even grab your book tub and look at some of your books and read Like a Writer, thinking about the way the writer writes and copying some of those moves. Maybe like me, you'll copy some of the craft moves of Angela Johnson, who uses this great descriptive language. So be inspired by other authors today. See if you can copy not their words, but their ideas to make your work even better. The writing workshop has begun.